what you're doing. So, you know, I never really bore of announcements because, you know, nor should we, because announcements are really casting vision. Announcements cast the vision of the church. You know, many people go, well, it's time for announcements. Am I speaking the truth?
Amen.
And then we go, what time does it start? When is it? What's going to happen? Who's going to be there?
You're right.
Yeah. Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I get it right. And we complain. You know, we get a newsletter people print for us. I don't know if you can still do them anymore, but really, people don't read them. We should. Because it's casting vision. That's what we do here. It's not announcements. It's casting vision. I mean, no, shoeboxes, what an awesome thing. And do you know what? Anybody can do a shoebox. Anybody can go out there and say to 3 or 4 people, even in the bank, even in the supermarket, even where you go as a regular, you can say, you know, we're doing a shoebox. You know, you want to put something in here, or do you, the staff, want to do one? It's doable. It's not so much that it's impossible. It's everybody doing a little bit. Really touches the world. It's awesome. I love it. Love communion. Loved it. I think we need to do communion a whole lot in the church, a whole lot more than we do it. You know, in Australia we do it every week, or we used to. Then we got all modern and we stopped. Then everybody who missed it complained, and everybody got an attitude with them. I thought Jesus said do it often. You know, I know people that are really pushing through in life and believe God. They do communion every day at home, just them and Jesus. It has a tremendous impact. The only difference between doing something out of rote and doing something on purpose and intentional is a religious spirit. It's like, well, this is just what we do now. No. We stop. And we focus. And we think about what's being said, about what was done. Communion's powerful. When I had a church, people got healed during communion. Everything in church is what we make it. How much effort, how much thought, how much heart we put into it. So, well, I can't wait for this one, but here goes Adrienne again. I can't wait for her to shut up. Context. You may not hear something you were supposed to. Well, there's the announcements. I may not hear something I was supposed to. Communion. I may not hear something I was supposed to. Then we go home and go, well, God didn't show up tonight. Don't you love Blake, the way he does that? I mean, I'm more spiritual. I'm so spiritual I don't watch them, or somebody told me, Joanne told me about it, you know. Do you know over in Egypt they have Arab Idol? Not American Idol, they have Arab Idol. They have The Voice, they have all of those things, but they have the Arab people judging it. It's in Arabic. They use the same music. It's just so cool. It's just funny as all heck. Anyway, before I share the word, just 5 minutes on Egypt. We had an awesome conference this year, just awesome. You know, I'm a little bit of a control freak. I know it's hard to believe, but if you ask Joanne, she'll tell you so. You know, but she's my good friend. But I can't control it anymore. You know when something gets too big for you to micromanage? Well, that's where it is. We turned away 100 people this year, 100 ladies, because of space and money, and it's just grown. We had about 350, probably close to 400. I had a look this afternoon. And I'm not about numbers. It's easy to get a crowd. But I just want people to be impacted. And it's all about the impact. People are coming because their lives are being changed, you know. So I don't care if only 10 people come, because if their life is being changed, that's what we're about. But so many people are talking about it. God has given us great favour in Alexandria and Cairo. And for about 3 years now, the men have been wanting to come. And I said, it's a women's conference. You can't come. Well, this last year, one of the young men was driving us to the train station, and he said, I want to come to the conference. I said, you can't. He said, well, why don't you have a he conference? Guess what we're doing next year? We're doing a she and a he. I'm not running it. That would really cross our culture. Mind you, I quite like that. But anyway, so we have looks like a pastor from Jordan coming. His wife came this week. This conference, she deals with trauma over there. People who've been tortured, people who've been traumatized with ISIS and, the things in the Middle East, the things that can happen. And her husband is her greatest advocate. Her husband told her, your identity cannot be in me and the children. This is an Arab. I mean, really? I mean, I heard it. I thought the interpreter got it wrong while she was talking. He said, being an awesome mother and an awesome wife that you are is what you do. But we can't give you only what Jesus can give you. And in a very healthy way, they shared that. She shared it, and I thought, we need him to talk to the he's. Because men, like women, take things, and men, everybody needs identity, because every decision we make, everything is out of knowing who we are in Christ, who we were born through the cross to become and are. And when we look at people to give us only what God can give us, we set ourselves up for a fall and a big fail. So, and then I met people in Cape Town. God has opened up Cape Town quite amazingly. But they travel the world, this lady teaching children about the presence of God. Teaching them how to pray for the sick, how to be prophetic. Teaching children about their identity. She sets up these amazing stations, and she said to me, to her and a business lady said, we want to come to your conference and do a children's conference. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's he, she, and theirs. Can you believe that? I mean, you know when you don't ask for something, you go out and it seems like God breathes on it. So next year, we look at probably having well over 1,000 people at the conference. We have to move, but that's the goodness of God. That's got nothing to do with me. To tell you the truth, it's a little, gives me a headache to try to think about it. But sometimes, when God breathes on something, you sort of got to let it go and let him roll with it a little bit, even if it looks a bit messy in the original planning of it. So, he's moving and we're growing, doing 2 or 3 conferences now, probably 3. And so it's sort of exciting, and we'll continue to Skype and mentor and pour into people when we're not there. So he's breathed on our leadership team, given us a very strong, proactive leadership team. And we went live with this conference. And next year they want to televise it, which is sort of really cool. There was a lady from TV over there at our conference, I didn't know, and she wants to put it on television next year, which is really, it's sort of cool. Not because it's on TV, but because it's like God making a mark, and just using everyday people to do what he does. Doesn't matter where your missionaries are, whether they go to Egypt, whatever part of the world your missionaries go, we all go together and we all just play a little part in the incredible plan of God. and then God can get the whole job done.
Amen.
You know, never second guess your part, never minimize your part, because it's huge. It's huge. Every part we play is huge. And we come together and we all do our part, and God just says, yep, there they are, that's my church. We're walking through shoeboxes to bless kids all over the world. We're going to Egypt, Africa, we're going to wherever it is, Japan, China, we're going. The church has got legs, a bit more than these. It's prayers, it's heart, it's everything. And God is moving across the world today in so many ways, in so many countries. It's just amazing to be part of what He's doing. I'm excited about it. It's it just blows my mind. You know, when you pass the time, you feel like God says, look, this is what I'm doing, you can show up if you want. It totally is what it feels like. You can show up if you want, but I'm just going to get her done. I'm just going to touch some people. Two ladies drove past the conference, the conference centre, and said, let's go in and see what's going on there. And there were 3 conferences going on at the same time, but we sort of take most of the rooms and the facilities. And they came past our She conference, because we've got signs out everywhere for She. And they said, let's go and have a look. They've got a really life-changing touch from God. Just driving it past, saying, let's go and have a look. So God's doing what He's doing, you know. But I always say the greatest move of God is the one He's doing in you and I, right here, right now. God needs to be moving. God's not still. He's always on the job. He's always being God, doing God. Always. He doesn't just strive to exist. God strives to excel in and through you and I. So I want to speak out of a story tonight that I talked to the ladies about maybe a year ago or something. I can't remember. But I want to go a little further, because this is, to me, this is life, and it's a story that I'm really quite passionate about, and it's in the book of Acts. Some of the ladies will remember it. It's in the book of Acts, chapter 3, verses 1 to 10. See, I want to talk a little bit about the process, but I believe that God wants to send a fresh wind.
Yeah.
Just a fresh wind. As individually and as a church, sometimes we just get tired. Who knows? Life can do a number. We're busy. Anyone not busy? We're busy doing life and doing God and everything. And I just felt like God wanted to bring a fresh breeze and a fresh wind and just take a load off. We're going to go to Acts chapter 3. The Bible says, now Peter and John went up together to the temple in the hour of prayer, the 9th hour, and a certain man lame from his mother's womb was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms from those who entered the temple. Who, seeing Peter and John about to go into the temple, asked for alms, and fixing his eyes upon him with John, Peter said, look at us. So he gave them his attention, expecting to receive something from them. Then Peter said, silver and gold I do not have, but what I do have I give you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk. And he took him by the right hand, lifted him up, and immediately his feet and his ankle bones received strength. You see, we've really put this story into the degree of the expression of miracles. You know, when we preach about a miracle, we preach from this story. But I want to take it a little further from where, even when we were talking to the ladies about it, us to get inside this man's head just a little bit and slow this down. How many of you ladies remember this? Very cool. Well, we're going to take it a little further. So I don't want you to turn it off and go, well, I know what she's going to say. I might surprise you. If we can stop and get inside this man's head for a second, for a minute, and he's sitting there begging, totally reliant on the goodness of people. And Peter and John walk up to him, and he's looking at them and thinking, expecting to receive something, which he would. But when he said these words, when Peter said, silver and gold have I none, inside this man's head, in that second, right then, right there, would have been disappointment, would have been disillusionment, would have been discouragement, and he'd be like, well, what are you doing there? Well, what did you stop for? You know what I need. You know what I want. What did you stop for? You see, he was looking for something. Anything. Anything. Any little crumb that they could throw out on the ground. Anyway, anyhow, he said, I just need something. Just some crumbs will be fine. So many times in the process we feel just like that man, anything, God, something. A little bit of money, a little bit of food, a little bit of emotion, a little bit of heart, a little bit of deliverance, a little bit of your promise. Let me see something. Anything. You see, in this story, there's something so much more going on. There was more going on that this man could have ever imagined in his whole life. And in that silence, as Peter would take a breath to the response to the second part of Peter's sentence, silver and gold have I none, but in the process of the but, love was beginning to respond. God's response was coming in the but. God was getting ready to respond because this man would have been satisfied with lunch. really didn't know of the long-term solution. Can I tell you, God has a process. And I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 5 years, or 5 hours. There's a process to the receiving. There's a journey from the promise to the receiving. There's a process from the birth, from the conception to the birthing. We can't change that. Bible says he gave them Saul, but he raised up David. The prodigal mother, the prodigals were waiting for their son to come home because God says he can't come home. He's in a process. He can't come home till he's at the end of himself or he's going to go again. Amen. God is all about process. He gave them Saul. You know, I read some of those times when Paul goes and writes about the whole history of the church in about 6 verses. And I read that and I think, well, these verses must be really important to God if they capture the whole journey in about 6 or 7 verses or 1 chapter. So I go through them one at a time and have a look. The highlights, the stories that transition them from one thing to another. And in this time, in one of these times, Paul said that God gave him Saul. He handed them Saul, but he raised up David. He called David a man after his own heart. We know David did some stuff, but let me tell you, Saul was filled with jealousy. Saul was filled with insecurity. Saul was filled with the fear of man. Saul was filled with all this mess that cost him a whole lot more than David. It cost him the life of his sons. It cost him the throne. We grow up into a great leader is never just handed a title, although they start from there. But I want to tell you, a great leader is somebody who walks the process of people stuff and skills and the love of God and knowledge. That's a great leader. Not the title. We can be handed a title. But I want to tell you, the person gives honor to the title, not the title to the person. Anyone who's just handed a promise, can I tell you, without the process that they need, is more than likely to lose it. You know, people, well, I don't believe that you could lose it. Well, ask Saul. Ask the children of Israel the first time when they went and knocked on the door of that land. Ask them. You know, when we're just handed something, if we're not wired right, if God hasn't taken us from a poverty mentality to a mentality that's like his, to the mind of Christ, God can put a whole bunch of stuff in our head. You know where it's going to go? It's going to fall straight through. I may have shared this before, but the first time God ever spoke to me about this, a long time ago, and I really felt I wanted to share it tonight to encourage you in the process. When I was pastoring, we had a building fund. Everybody's got a building fund. That's the first thing we do. We start a building fund. We were believing for $100,000 deposit on some land, 55 acres, and had $30,000 in the building fund. And have I shared this story before? If not, I'll say it again anyway. The building fund, and I met this businessman, a really rich businessman at this conference, and so I invited him to come and speak to our church. And it wasn't because he was rich, it was because he was a strong Christian entrepreneur, and I had a lot of youth who were entrepreneurs. I had business people, businessmen and businesswomen in the church, and I said, I want you to come and speak into these people. Christian business integrity. So he came and I found out in the process that he was really rich. And because, you know, most pastors wouldn't tell you they think this. But I was like, he wouldn't even miss 70 grand. he wouldn't miss $70,000 to make our 100. He might even buy it all for us. If he likes us. I mean, I'm thinking these things. And he comes and he takes everybody to dinner. We took him out, had him speak to the youth, had him speak to the business people, had him speak at church on the Sunday morning, took up a giant love offering for him because our church was strong givers. And he left with his love offering and no $70,000. I mean, he gave us a big hug and we're all warm and fuzzy, but inside I'm like, what? Do you know how much we just gave you? You ever feel like that behind a smile? Do you know? For real. With all that you've got, you're going to take our money and go? When we have need? Who knows God doesn't respond to need? Anybody found that out just yet? Well, I went home excited in front of everybody, but oh, it was so good. Wasn't that? Isn't it great? They went, yeah, it was awesome. I'm like, yeah. Because, you know, when you get speaker, your tithes and offerings go right down to here. They shouldn't, but that's what can happen. People are like, oh, I'm just going to give. I'm going to give. Oh, church tithe? Oh, there's a change. I passed it. I know this for real. I know it wouldn't happen in a Waking church, but it can. Now, your tithe belongs to the church, not your guest speakers. Even if they're me. God, I opened the Bible and I started to read this. I opened straight at this story. And the Spirit of God spoke to me and said, I'll give you what you need for life rather than what you want. Now, did I like that? No. But I knew it was God. It was one of those times, like God doesn't say, Adrienne, this is, you know when you just open it, it's like it goes down deep. There's something that happens on the inside, not the audible voice of God saying, this is what, no, I just knew it. It touched me to my toes. And then I realized that someone had said to me, Adrienne, you run on a poverty spirit. And all of a sudden, I'm remembering all this, and I knew right then and right there until God took care of the poverty spirit that I operated out of, He wasn't going to give me a dime. Because I wouldn't be able to handle it. I wouldn't build, it wouldn't probably make the building fund. We'd find something really cool to spend it on. I don't know. It wouldn't be my intention, but who knows? When poverty dictates to you, it wants to make sure that there's nothing left. And God spoke to me through this very clearly. So I went after a poverty thinking. And within 6 months, we had our money. But it was because God wanted to take us through a process, because He didn't want to just give us that. He wanted to bless the land. He wanted to do this. He wanted to do so much more. He wanted to keep on giving. He wanted to keep on doing this stuff. And so God had to rid us of this thinking. A friend of mine told me once, Adrienne, you're building a church for poor people. I said, well, that's good. We like the poor. But he said, and I just said, yeah, it's really cool. But then I realized after I went to a conference once that a rich person wouldn't feel all warm and fuzzy in our church. that if somebody walked in with the shirt off their back, you know what? We would clothe them, we would feed them, we would make sure they were okay, we would make sure they're fine. But if somebody turned up in a limousine driven by a driver instead of themselves in a $1,000 suit and gold chains, you know what we would do? We would be like, whoa. Can't drive your own car. You know, we could take that seat and feed the poor. God challenged me. Church is for all demographics, everybody, young and old, rich and poor, and everybody should be able to feel at home. And I wasn't doing it because I was operating out of poverty. And God had to deal with that with me. And God's going to deal with something else with you. Not as a church, but individually I'm talking tonight. Individually. God's put us in a promise, in a process. You know, I heard a great sermon Sunday before last, and this man of God who'd been around for a long time, moored up the place, I think it's in Mark 1:17, and Jesus called Peter and he said, I'm going to make you to become. I'm going to make you to become fishermen. I'm going to make you to become something. In other words, when I call you and I say, follow me, then you know what? You haven't become. You are being made to become. We're being made to become. I'm going to make you. Who knows if God had to do a little bit of fine-tuning in Peter and all the fishermen? You know, they don't get the nickname Sons of Thunder because they were weak. Only they would say, bring down fire, burn them up. God, just tell us, we're going to call down fire. We're going to burn those people right up. Sons of Thunder, I mean, they were people who were strong. And Jesus said, I've called you, I said, follow me. Now I'm going to make you to become what I've called you to be, how I've called you to be. I'm going to take your character and I'm going to make you to become just like me. I'm going to make you to become blessed like I want to. I'm going to make you to become integrous like I want to. I'm going to make you to become.
Amen.
He said, I don't just say follow me and go whoopity-doo-dah. He said, no. He said, follow me, and I'm going to make you to become just like me. I'm going to make you to become blessed. Amen. Like my promises say. I'm going to make you to become somebody who wins.
Yes.
Life might have made you to become somebody who was on the losing end of every argument, but Jesus said, I'm going to make you to become a winner. If you get saved in the first 5 minutes, you're not winning. No, you're in a process. God is making. You don't get a cake mix. I don't know. I don't make cakes. But you don't get a cake mix and go, there it is. There's the cake. That's what I would do. I might bring a cake mix and give it to Mary Ann when I come with the next ladies event, but you need to thank God I don't cook and I don't bring something. But we're going to make you to become. And God looked, and Peter and John, the Spirit of God through Peter and John, looked at this man and said, I'm going to make you to become whole. I'm going to make you to become a winner. I'm going to make you to become blessed. Thank you, Lord. Amen. I'm going to make you to become. There's always a process. Always. You know, the Christopher Reeves who played Superman, remember him? I love Superman. I grew up watching Superman. Anyone else old like me? I mean, we grew up Superman, faster than a speeding bullet, more, what is it, powerful than a locomotive, and more tall buildings in a single bound. Whoa, did you see that? Walk through walls, except if there was kryptonite around. That was a bit of poison for it. But Christopher Reeves, the man who played Superman in the movie, he wasn't as old as us. He knew what I'm talking about. He had a terrible accident, remember? On the horse. He went over, his passion was horse riding, he went over, paralysed him from the neck down. Changed his life, paralysed everything from the neck down. And I was reading some things that people wrote about this man. Because he got over the initial shock, he got over the initial whatever, what you would have to go through. Wanting to die, do I want to live, do I want to be like this, through all of that stuff. And he started to focus his mind because they were shut still. And he made this statement. He said, many people have all their faculties. He said that they're more paralysed than I am in their mind. He said they can run and jump and they can live life, they're free, they're not incapacitated in their body but in their mind. They're more paralysed than I am. And you know what? That's true. That's true. When tragedy visited him, ultimately, he made the best out of a shocking tragedy. And he touched a lot of people. I'm going to tell you now, he died of cardiac arrest sometime later. But I want to tell you, if somebody like him stood there, sat there in his chair and said, Adrienne, what are you doing with your life? I don't care how many airplanes I catch. I don't care where I go or how good conferences are. That would challenge me. Because I don't believe any of us really live to our full potential. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm trying to say it's way higher than what we think. Do you know the science of potential says? This is psychological science. This is measured stuff, not guesswork. Potential in a human life cannot be measured. It is unmeasurable. You can't put a boundary on it. It is unlimited. The force of potential that comes from a human life is so unmeasurable. It is, you can't measure it. I wonder where we got that from. I wonder whose image and likeness that we were created in to carry around that sort of power and that sort of potential. Come on. Come on, you and I so often sell each other short. And we sell ourselves short. We sell the incredible abilities that God put in us. We sell ourselves short, and we become just like Chris in some areas, not all areas, but in some things we become a little bit like what Christopher Reeves said, we're paralyzed. And we don't even know it half the time. That's why when we're here and the promise is here and we feel a bit stuck, we need to go to God. We need to talk to people. We need to find out what? You ever get so mad you want to punch a wall when somebody gives you truth? I had a prophet come into my church. And, we prayed from 9 till 9 every Tuesday. Our church was born on prayer. 9 till 9 every Tuesday. People came as they went. And 7 till 11 on Wednesday, Thursday, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No, it must have been Friday because Tuesday wasn't in it. Anyway, so I'm trying my hardest to build this thing called the church. And this prophet, you know what he said to me? He said, you need to be led by the Spirit. I was like, so mad. I was so mad. Because I thought I was. I was trying so hard to do it all right, but I wasn't getting the results I thought I would see, but I was trying so hard. And this man of God comes up and says, you need to be led by the Spirit. I'm saying, you need to go home without an offering. Swim back to Africa. Now, I didn't say that to him. It was one of those smiling times again. But it stirred up something in me. I literally went home and hit the wall. See that size of that fist? I put it into a wall. Now, I know you pastors don't do that, but I did. The wall's like looking at me like, you finished yet? I cut my knuckle, hurt my hand. So then I turned to ask God, okay, what and why and how do we do this? And you know, even though that thing confronted me a little bit, a lot, but honestly, as I say in Egypt, confrontational can bring change. I said in Egypt to a bunch of ladies, and I said it at our conference, we did not come to endorse religious oppression. We came to bring conflict, because conflict is the first necessary step of learning. Your mind has been fashioned and molded by religious oppression. And a lot of times our mind, our thinking has been fashioned by life and experience, and Jesus is trying to renew it. And I said, conflict is the first. When I hear something like I thought was wrong, being led by the Spirit, or somebody questions doctrine, or somebody questions something, we absolutely believe it. You don't have to believe it because it's confrontational, but at the very least, process it. Amen. You know, I said, your mind has been governed like this, and when I talk to you about unconditional love, and I talk to you about mercy, and I talk to you about forgiveness and goodness, and I talk to you about what it is to be a daughter of the King of Kings, when I talk to you like that, it's going to hit at your thinking and what you believe. And that first hitting is a confrontational part where this confronts that. You know, if all I ever do is hear what I already know, then I'll stop. You know what Christians do sometimes? Well, I don't believe that. Why? Well, I've just never believed that. Why? Because I don't believe it. Now, I'm not talking about absolutes, but most of the stuff we argue and fuss over are not absolutes in the Bible. You see, this man would have been so happy with lunch. But God wanted to give him life. You know, when we, on our process in God, there are three lots of people that I believe God wants to touch even tonight. The first one, the crippled man who couldn't in his wildest dreams, didn't know about healing, didn't know. We need to say God can do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask, think, hope, or believe. That God can do exceedingly abundantly. If you're stuck and you feel like all you're doing is existing and living on the goodness, and you know there's more. See, we know there's more. This man didn't. We know there's more. And I want to say to you tonight, God can do exceedingly and abundantly more than you ask or dream or hope or think. God overrode this man. All he knew with what God could do. He can do supernaturally, abundantly. I love the supernatural stuff. And then people whose minds have been crippled, like Christopher Reeves talked about. That God, I feel like I know it's there, but I'm just... We know what to believe for, but we need to break out of this. I know we think we're waiting on God. God's waiting on us. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. You know, if you're 80-year-old and you're still waiting on God for something, you better have a look. Because he's not that bad a steward of time. God's like, get out of bed. Show up. See, sometimes we rely on when we're short in some areas. It can be love, acceptance. I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about stuff that everybody suffers in. And we actually live on and depend on people's affirmations. You know, if someone doesn't tell me I did a good job, then I think I failed. If someone doesn't tell me that I'm a great person, then I think I'm a lousy person. A little bit like what I said earlier. I can't give you, to her husband said to her, I can't give you what only Jesus can. See, if you've got a shortfall and you're poor in that emotion of acceptance and rejection, can I tell you, all the affirmation in the world won't be enough. And leaving the church won't be enough. But going down to the church down the road that's got more love, that's not enough. Because the problem is in us. Because I want to tell you, when you know that Jesus affirms you, when you know that Jesus affirms you, accepts you, and loves you, you don't get hard, but you don't let people's mean comments get on the inside of you. You're like, thank you very much. I really appreciate your input. God bless you. And you walk away and you dust it off. Unless it's totally weird and wrong, of course. You don't. See, everybody thinks they've got to be the corrector. I know. I've got control issues. I know that. I have a degree in some of that stuff. Not doing it right. You're not walking right. It happens less and less and less, but Joanne always knows when I'm on one of those beds and she's like, Adrienne. I just look at her and I said, I'm doing it, aren't I? She says, yeah. That's the sort of friend you need, not someone who flatters you when you're out of line. You don't have any friends like that, find one. Because they're more value in your life than a whole bunch of people who just give you anyway. You know, God wants you to start to walk again, be intentional about walking again. Be intentional that it's not finished, that you're in a process. Be intentional if you feel a bit disappointed and disillusioned like God's forgotten your address. Just keep walking. Just keep walking and doing what you know to do, then God will do what you don't know to do. That's not hard. And those people who are convinced, number 3, that God has left them. Because in the process, sometimes we can feel like we've been abandoned by God. Not even just, I don't know where He is, I don't know. We have made up our mind that He has abandoned us because our life is not going to where the promise is. Can I tell you, Jesus said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. You need to learn that, lean on that, and have that in your life. He didn't say if you're good, if you're bad. He said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. You know what we do? We get into a process, we get into a hard time, we get into a storm, and we think because life is rough, then God's somewhere else in someone else's life and He's abandoned me. Can I tell you, that's when we need Him the most, and that's when He's closest. You see, tonight I want to call again, as just as I close, I want to call again us to the place of process. Maybe out of disappointment, maybe out of disillusionment, maybe out of the lie that we believe that God has abandoned us, maybe out of the not understanding and misunderstanding and trying to work everything out. We'll never work God out. That would make us all as smart as God, which would be sad. That God wants us to walk the process and not quit the process by surmising that God's finished with us. That God wants to encourage us in the fact that He can do exceedingly abundantly more. He can do what you don't know if you'll just do what you do know. Can I tell you, I'm not talking about a principle here. I'm talking about walking with God and co-laboring with God. It's all a process that God and you walk through together. I heard a great saying by Bill Johnson today, and it was so cool. He said, a principle without the presence is like a kingdom without a king. I'm not saying apply these principles. I'm saying walk with God and say, you know what, God, I'm going to show up in your presence. I'm going to have your presence around my life again. I thought you've abandoned me, but you know what? I'm just going to go and I'm going to turn off the TV. I'm going to turn off my phone. I'm going to start to worship you and start to feel your presence around my life again. And God, you and me, we're going to get up again. We're going to go again. God is right here, right now. God, you're waiting on me. I'm not waiting on you because your love will never abandon me. You know what? Sometimes we don't stop long enough. Clark Taylor, one of the powerful father in the faith of mine, he said, God just doesn't give His presence to people who walk in with militia boots on. Well, here I am, God. I'm ready. You ready? No. Now I walk in with a heart that just wants Him, wants His presence, and want Him to finish making me to become something. And I partner with His presence, I partner with God and His ways. And I become something He's making me. Amen? Pastor Todd, thank you very much. I'm not sure if you want to, can we just have people stand or something, or whatever.